So as the football world continues to be on a football lockdown, I thought I'd take a little look at what the state of football would look like in 10 years' time. But in this video, we're going to be taking a look at one team in particular, and that team is Newcastle United. That's right, folks, back once again with another video. Today we're going to take a little look at the future of Newcastle United. Where they're going to be in 10 years' time, well, we'll get to that in just one second. If you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe, bang up to date. All things Premier League related, Football Manager related, Rovers related. We're all here under one roof. All right, let's jump into it then now, shall we? It's just to kind of familiarise ourselves with what's going on at Newcastle. Now, I did say this yesterday. This is prior to one, the financial takeover. It's prior to the actual 10-year time warp. So this is currently what's going on as of recording. I'm recording this on the 29th of April. Stevie Bruce is in charge. I don't know what's going to be the case in, I don't know, what are we looking at these? Maybe 2 weeks' time from today's date is when this one will probably go out. Steve Bruce in charge. The captain is Jamal Lascelles. The vice captain is, a.k.a. Voldemort, John Joe Shelby. The key player, Danny Rose, is in on loan from Newcastle. He won't be a proper player. And Joe White is the hot prospect, a 16-year-old attacking midfielder. And he's, he could be a very decent player. So Newcastle, for me, are a Premier League side. I think they belong in there. They've had a couple of little blips along the way, getting relegated, bouncing back at the first attempt, and that seems to have happened on all occasions. They currently find themselves in the real world 13th spot. Stevie Bruce has done an okay job. Their reputation is 3.5 stars. That could get bumped over the next 10 years. We'll have to wait and see. So let's have a look at what we're working with, or what they're working with. Alan St. Maxim is the main man, 22 years of age. He should be knocking around in the future, as should Miguel Almiron, 25 years old. Danny Rose could be there or thereabouts. Fabian Schär, John Joe Shelby as well are around about that age where they may not be in the game anymore. Jamal Lascelles, 25 years of age. He's a decent little savvy little player. And Joe Linton as well, 22-year-old Brazilian, of course. Bit of a flop at the moment these days. Other familiar names and faces. DeAndre Yedlin, Dwight Gale, Andy Carroll. He'll be long gone. In fact, I don't even know what his deal is this time around. So we'll see where he ends up at the end of the season. Or in fact, well, they'll end up in 10 years' time. So take a little snapshot. What's going to happen to the Longstaff brothers? That's what we'll have to find out as well. Until then, though, 10 years. Let's go. Okay, boys, here we are, into the future. Yes, 10 years' time now. 31st of May, 2029. Where on earth are Newcastle United? I'm saying Premier League. And they're in the Championship, boys. Uh-oh. And they're in that awkward spot of playoffs. So we'll have a little look. Jirichi Trubivsky is the manager. Jamie Turns is the captain. Sebastian Szyminski is vice captain. Eddie Nikitaya, or whatever you call him, I call him Nikitaya, is the key man. Let's have a look at Nikitaya. He should be a decent little player. £23 million rated. No caps for England. He's been with the Toon for a while, scoring goals in the Championship. It looks like they've been a Championship club for a while. So that's not great. Let's have a look at that grand plan then. So in the initial season, they finished 17th, getting as high as 11th a couple of seasons. Then they dropped down to 19th in 2023-24 season. They've been there ever since. So it's going to be interesting to see who they've still got. Let's have a look at it then. So Nikitaya is the main man, valued at £23 million, earning around about £79 million. Szymanski is the, was it captain or something like that? Picked up for £12.5 million back in the Premier League as well. Okay sort of season, not really blowing it away. He's doing okay in the Championship. Ethan Laird, he's a Manchester United prospect. Gobbled up £14.5 million for the Toon from Fulham back in the day. They have a lot of regens knocking about. There's no faces for me that stand out and say, "Hey, I was here from the beginning." Jake Turner might have been there from the beginning. He might have. He's been there. He's just been signing on deals after deals after deals. £3 a week. Yeah, living the high life, buddy. Living the high life. So yeah, not much going on here. I can't really see Kambango as a player I know of or familiar of. But anyway, let's have a look at the manager merry-go-round. So we did start with Stevie Bruce. He was there for 4 years before he was sacked. Upstep Valcher Jilic. Paulo Sousa came in for a little bit. Clau Puel as well for a little bit. And now this Chapisky fella. Let's take a look at the competitions over the few years we've been away. Finished 3rd place this season. Besides that, not much else to get excited about. And a quick overview of the leagues just to showcase you. So it started all here. Okay. Terrible season. Playoffs. They've been a playoff team forever. 7th last season and now finishing in 3rd. I don't really want to show you that. I want to show you. I just want to get in this. So you do actually beat Bournemouth in this season. So you are back in the Premier League next season. So that's something to get excited about. Let's have a look at your transfers. So taking a look at some of your transfers from way back when the initial season, you made £18 million, spending 15, bringing in the likes of these fellas here. Not really familiar with any of them. Javier Manquillo went to St Etienne for 6.5 million. Christian Atsu went to Ulsan out in South Korea. Darlow went to Derby. Kolkbach went to Bristol City. Matt Ritchie went to Everton on loan. Diedlin went to Berlin on loan. That's pretty much it. The next season, you brought in £98 million worth of talent. Calvin Phillips, one of them. He's still at Newcastle, doing okay. Did he actually get into the England international? No, he did not. Decent little player though. Steady Eddie hands, 6.8 average, probably 7.01 actually according to this. So not bad pickup, still reliable. Little player, Connor. Any other ones? Luc De Jong. Wasn't he there before? He was there before. Bit of a flop. Went back to PSV, scored goals. Sevilla took a shot on him. Newcastle took him a little bit cheaper. Didn't really get much out of him. Bit of a bust really. Any other players here? No one that sings out. £17 million generated. Matt Ritchie went to Lyon. That's out in Colombia or Mexico, something like that. Any other players? Not really. Paul Dummett was loaned to Blackburn. Kieran Clark went to Turkey. 2021-22 season, you spent 80 million, you made 55. You brought in Azozi Perez back from Leicester. You sold him for 10. No, you didn't. You sold him for 22. Nope, you bought it. What's going on? You bought him for 1.5. You sold him for 22. You rebought him back. He's been an okay sort of player. You sold him for the six-fingered banjo player weirdos. 10.75 million. Not really made too much money out of it or too much out of it, to be honest with you. Reece Oxford came in from Augsburg. He's now at Leeds. You kind of wiped your face with that deal. You brought him in. He kind of just loaned him back out again, really. Leeds gobbled him up and made him to an okay sort of player. Ricardo Rodriguez, the Swiss right back, still playing over at Ufa in Russia. Rovers had him for a little bit. Newcastle had him for a little bit. Not really too much about that bad boy. Brandon Williams from Manchester United was picked up, £11 million. He's now over at Galatasaray. Swansea won him back over in the UK. Again, Rovers picked him up for 21 million, so you made a chunk of change on that deal. We were mugs to get that deal over the line. He actually made £55 million of sales. John Joe Shelby went to Rennes. He's actually, that's where he ended his career. He's had a steady end to his footballing life out there. DeAndre Legend went to Lokomotiv Moscow. Syrian Clark went to Malaga. Fabian Schär to AZ Alkmaar. Dummett went to Lasic. Flornell Coman went to Rovers. Just checking on him. He made a bit of money on that one. So that's pretty decent. Besides that, nothing really fantabby-dozy. Next season, you brought in £76 million of talent. You sold 35. A lot of the money went on Carlon Grant, £19.25 million. He's now at Bordeaux. You sold him for 13.5 million. Went out on loan to Denmark, of all places. It's a bit of a random one. He's a Scottish international. Fair play to him. Frimpong. Angel Gomez was bought in from Manchester United. He's now at Leicester. Looks like he might have made a chunk of change on this one. £11.75 million bought. A good, decent season for you in the Championship. Sold for 24 million, who then later sold him to Leicester for 37.5. You also bought Marko Artsnautovic back from China. £8 million. Didn't really do well for you. Bit of a bust. Your money generated was from Joe White. He went to West Ham. He was your hot prospect coming through the ranks. Now at Bournemouth. Yep, still decently young. the world of football here. Dubravka went to Qatar, £3.3 million goalkeeper. Woodman went to Fulham. We've already seen how he ends up. He ends up like at West Ham or something, or Bournemouth. Yeah, that's where he ends up. Josh Harrison, no other. Reece Oxford went back down. We already seen that. Yep. Moving on. 23-24 season. Fraser Foster came in from Celtic. Ben White from Fulham. That's right. Interesting. Hang on a minute. So Ben White came in from Fulham for £16 million. You also brought in a couple of other fellas here. Nico Schultz for 7.75. Willy Bolly as well. Still in the game as assistant manager over at West Brom these days. Players gone out, £24.5 million, mostly on this Mike Nashami, who's a Belgian fella. Still in the game over at Nantes. Jamal Lascelles went to Lille for £1.2 million. He's still in the game as a fitness coach. Reece Oxford, Joe Linton, where is he? He's still in the game at Nottingham Forest. Did he ever score goals? He did. He went back out on loan. He actually got double digits for Newcastle in the first few seasons, and then went out on loan, back out to Brazil, back over at Newcastle, kind of flopped it around a little bit. Forest picked him up and did okay for himself, £11.25 million. Got a bit of cash back on that one, I think. Somebody did anyway. Moving on. Next season, £125 million brought in, or sorry, spent. £277 million brought it in. We'll have a look at those in a minute. Richard Grace, Dewhurst, Nikitaya was brought in. Elmney as well, who is 36 years old. Free transfer still up for grabs if you want him. That's about it. Players gone out though. Alan St. Maxim went to China. Big chunk of change there. What's his profile like? He did not get any caps for France. Matty Longstaff went to Leicester. Let's have a look at the other one. Sean Longstaff went to Mönchengladbach, just in case we don't get to see him. So that's the Longstaff bros. Frimpong went to Thing. Rovers spent 21 million on that. There's Sean Longstaff. Colin Grant. Yeah, Perez. So a lot of players on the move here. Bit of a clear out. Willy Bolly went to Mönchengladbach as well. Yeah, big old turnaround there. Next up, £109 million spent, £88 million received. You spent a lot of it on Josh Timon, who we've seen knocking around the place at Watford, at Bournemouth as well. So he's a player that gets around a little bit. Carmen Cotters Vickers, American centre-back now at Shakhtar. Can also play defensive midfield. Craig Johnson, other ones here. Yep, not too worried about those. Players gone out. Angel Gomez went to Villa. Ben White went to Villa as well. Derek Ingram, blah, blah, blah. Moving on to the next season, 2026-2027 season. £90 million spent, only £17 million coming in, and that was for Craig Johnson, who went to the Brighton under-18s. Robbie Monaghan was brought in, £35 million. He's a regen, Northern Ireland international, still at the club. Ollie Watkins was also brought in. He's now at Barnsley, 33 years of age. Just the one season. Big hit on that. Big financial stinkeroo on that bad boy. Next up, just £5 million spent. Must be curbing the transfer activity a little bit on Anthony Elanga, Swedish guy, still at the club. Turning out some decent performances out in the Championship. As for players going out, Jonas Strand went to Swansea. He's a regen. They spent a bit of money on him. Josh Timon went to Bournemouth for £21 million. Marcus Dewhurst is a decent player. Goalkeeper, know that name very, very, very well. I've done a video on that, or there will be a video on that very, very soon. Stand by. Cameron Carlton Vickers went to Shakhtar. Next up, we go to 2028-2029, the final season here. Ben Kenabago from Sheffield Wednesday. He's a real deal player, formerly of Swansea. Picked him up for 650 grand. They sold him for £9 million. Good bit of business there from Chef Wed. Players gone out, 53 million. Stankovic to Montreal, just for peanuts, really. We're looking at Lewis Blackwood. Must be a regen. Sounds like a regen. Rovers spending the cash like it's going out of fashion. And the rest look like regens. Take a look at the best 11. Coming at you, Marcus Dewhurst is in the sticks. Laird at left back. Nelson, Okpoktu, Seafluk at the back. Szymanski, Phillips alongside Nikitaya, Almiron, Maxim, and Grace. Where is Almiron? He's still in the game. He's over probably in Paraguay, ending his career at his home country. You sold him for $3 million. You didn't really do well. I don't know why he's in the best 11. Not really impressed with his stats, but anyway, that's the 11. Let's go back to the initial start of the season. For the very first season, saw Joe Linton make it into the team of the year. What about Andy Carroll? We didn't check him out. Nope, he's nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen. I don't know where he is. Don't know what's happened to him. Nobody knows. But anyway, so Joe Linton up top. Almiron in the squad as well. Dubravka between the sticks next season. So Dubravka remain at number 1. Joe Linton got 14 goals that season. Best player with 7.04 average was, of course, Calvin Phillips. Next up the season, Freddie Woodman took over in goals, 6.81 average. Brandon Williams coming in at left back, 6.75 average rating. Joe Linton with 11 goals this season. Longstaff as well on the bench. Next up, 2022-23 season, Max O'Leary between the sticks ahead of Dubravka. Art Snatovic with 5 goals leads the line. Calvin Phillips still in the side, 6.89 average amongst others. Fraser Foster then takes over the number 1 goalkeeping jersey, 6.52 average rated for him. Calvin Phillips remains in there midfield alongside Matty Longstaff. Maxim up there with 8 goals, 7.03 average rated, best season for him. Well, in that season anyway. Marcus Dewhurst now at number 1 and the 2024-25 season. Ben White at right back. Mohamed Elney at defensive midfield alongside Leighton Clarkson, Angel Gomez in the attacking midfield slot, the pocket. Eddie Nketiah leading the line with 8 goals with one of the Longstaffs, Phillips, Almiron on the bench. Next up, 25-26 season, Marcus Dewhurst. Chips it in with in number 1 goal jersey, Josh Timon at left back, Calvin Phillips alongside Clarkson in the middle of the park again. Josie Dominguez with 8 goals, Nketiah with 16 out, playing out left. In the 26-27 season, Marcus Dewhurst remains at number 1. Looks like Jamie turns on the bench. Nketiah, Jonas Strand, all double digits. The best player on the field was Josh Timon with a 2.9 average rated. 2027-28 season, Josip Pazovic, number 1 goalkeeper, Ethan Lard at right back. Calvin Phillips back in there in the defensive midfield slot alongside Claudio Gomez. Eddie Nketiah with 23 goals this season. Could be time to sell in on him, this guy. And Jamie Turns with 12 goals from out wide. Into the final season, Ronnie Hughes between the sticks. Lewis Fioni at 14 goals from midfield. Could be a very, very good player as well. 25 goals from Nketiah as well. Richard Grace, 11 goals as well. But that is your best 11s. Take a look at your best, your records over the past few seasons, including ancient records from way back when. Your most money paid was for Joe Linton, £35 million. Your most money received was £75.5 million for St. Maxim, who went over to China. Let's break them down a little bit and have a little look at the best. The most goals by one player was Nketiah with 25 goals, again in the championship. Most assists by any one player was Calvin Phillips and Angel Gomez, both chipping in with 15 goals. The highest average rating was, looks like Eddie Nketiah was 7.37, Josh Timon has 7.32 as well. But that's very, very close between the lot of them. But that, my friends, is it. So Newcastle are a championship side, but they're on the push now. They're back in the Premier League next season, but we're not going to revisit it over the next 10 years. That's your lot, folks. Tomorrow we're going to go and explore what's happening in Merseyside. Not the red side, but the blue side. It's Everton. Where are they going to be? Are they going to be a Premier League team? Are they going to be a championship team? Let me know in the comment section down below what you think is going to happen with Everton. I'm saying a Premier League side. We have seen quite a few championship clubs recently. You know, I think Brighton were in there. Who else was in there? Bournemouth might have been in there. I can't really remember. But anyway, Norwich were there. I don't know. No, Norwich were not. Norwich were Premier League. I can't remember. Anyway, folks, tomorrow it is all Everton. Until then, give this video some loving. Smash the thumbs up, smash the subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Please like, share, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, championship related, football related. We've got it all covered right under one roof. And while I still have you, please be sure to check out some of the old videos scattered along here. I hope.